Hey, Vern, looks like you need a pollution solution. And this is the month Cerritos Auto Square set out to beat last year's sales record with price-breaking discounts on California's largest selection of cars and trucks. Converter looks like it's got a little...
What's up, everyone? I'm back again. It's CliffRacer666. How you doing? I hope everybody out there is well. Today will be about the first Nintendo console I ever owned, and that is the Super Nintendo. Well, the way I got my Super Nintendo was for my birthday in, I think, probably 1996, and that's a little bit late for the Super Nintendo. A lot of people probably got theirs a lot earlier than me. My Super Nintendo console, specifically, was the Killer Instinct bundle, the one that came with a box that had the Killer Instinct character on the front, and it said Killer Instinct, and it came with the Killer Instinct cartridge included in the package. So I got it for my birthday, and I remember opening it, and this is the copy of Killer Instinct that I own now. I never got that copy from the one that they bought me, because they gave that to my older brother, but they did give me Super Mario Kart instead. And this is not the original copy that I owned back then, but this is a copy that I actually probably picked up about 3 years ago from a friend of my family. So on that day, I got the Super Nintendo, and it was for my birthday, and we were having a birthday party, and then I actually got a lot of games that day as well. I'm not sure who gave me this first one, but I know that I got it either on that day or very soon afterwards. But Super Mario All-Stars, and this is one of my favorite games for the Super Nintendo. I mean, it's obviously a very stereotypical game to play for the system, but it is a really great game nonetheless. My older brother that day gave me his copy of Super Mario World. I don't know if he had more than one copy of it or not. He had a lot of video games, and so maybe he may have had more than one copy at that time. Also on that day, my grandmother gave me, it was a new game, it wasn't used. I got a lot of used games on that day, but my grandmother gave me a brand new copy of Scooby Doo for Super Nintendo. And I know that Scooby Doo is not a good game, and I really didn't understand that when I played it back then. I just thought it was really hard, and that I just didn't get it. But now playing it today, and over the years, because this is my original copy, playing it over the years, I've realized that yes, it is one of the worst Super Nintendo games. It's absolutely terrible. But still, I will always keep my copy of it. Somebody that day also got me, or that day or very soon afterwards, gave me a copy of Aladdin for Super Nintendo. I don't exactly remember how I got it, but I did have Aladdin when I was a kid, and it's a really easy game. It's a great game. If you never played the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin, I highly recommend it. I have never played the Genesis version of Aladdin, so I don't want to hear any Genesis talk about Aladdin, even though I love the Genesis. I'm just kidding, of course. You can talk about whatever game you want. If you've got something to say about the Genesis Aladdin, go ahead. Also that day, my older brother's friend, I can't remember his name anymore, it was so long ago, but my older brother's friend at the time came to my party, and this was special because my older brother didn't live with me when I was a kid, so that's part of the reason why when I keep saying, oh, he had these games and I had these games, we didn't live in the same house. My older brother's friend came, and he didn't want his Super Nintendo anymore, and he ended up giving me a bag of used Super Nintendo games. And so I guess he liked beat-em-ups. I mean, that was mostly what I got from him. Batman Returns is one. This is a really killer game that's also very tough. And from him, I got all 3 Final Fight games. So this should give you a clue as to when I got my Super Nintendo, you know. Final Fight 3 was already out, and he was already tired of it. Anyways, I got all 3 Final Fights that day. Final Fight 1. Now, today I own the Japanese copy of Final Fight 2, but Final Fight 2 I got on that day. And my favorite Super Nintendo beat 'em up, Final Fight 3. And if you've never played Final Fight 3, it is a really well-polished beat-em-up game. It is very well made. It's got super moves, it's got special moves, it's got all kinds of stuff. Multiple paths. Don't sleep on it. It's a really great game. It's expensive. It's a rare game. It's hard to find now. God, I probably sold my copy of it to Game Crazy for like $2 or something. I can still remember the day I went and sold my Super Nintendo games as a kid to Game Crazy because I wanted to buy new GameCube games when I was in like 8th grade or whatever. Oh well. All these years later, I have almost all of them back. The last two things quickly I'm going to talk about from that day, from my birthday, was my brother's friend gave me a game Genie. This is not the same one, obviously, but I used to really love using the codes on Super Mario Kart so that I could get outside of the racetrack. Because I didn't know. When I was a kid, I thought, oh, if you keep driving, one of these days you're going to get to that background. You know what I mean? And I used to have a really good time playing Super Nintendo. You know, my grandma used to play sometimes with me. She really liked Super Mario Kart, and she would play. But the main game that she would play was in Super Mario All-Stars, when you select Mario 3, there's the bonus game of Mario Bros, you know, versus Mario Bros. And that was what my grandma used to play. That was what she liked to play with. So kind of moving down the line a little bit, I ended up getting some other Super Nintendo games throughout the years when I was a kid, and I did get Lion King, and now this is the original copy that all these ones with the hideous labels, these are the ones that I had, okay? I didn't take good care of my stuff when I was a kid. Anyways, I think that Lion King for Super Nintendo is an okay game. It's just everybody knows about the ostrich part, and then the part where you have to like jump and then jump again over the stupid pigs. I hate it. I think it's a cool game, but that part makes me so mad. The monkeys is easy. I always see people get stuck on the monkeys. But that part with the bushes, ugh. Okay, so next, I've got Super Empire Strikes Back, which I actually beat back in the day. I have not beaten this game as an adult, but I beat Super Empire Strikes Back when I was like probably 12 years old. And then Super Return of the Jedi, I got all the way to the end of Super Return of the Jedi, and I couldn't beat the Emperor. I beat Darth Vader, but I couldn't beat the Emperor. So I've never gone back to try to go do it again. I probably will one day. It's just a lot, you know, and I'm going to say that I like the Super Star Wars games, but I'm not going to try and convince anyone that they're actually really high quality games because they're cheap. They have a lot of cheap hits and a lot of cheap kills in them. They might have cool sound effects and cool music and stuff like that, but the design, the level design and that type of stuff is inferior to a lot of other. So the last one from when I was a little kid, before I was in high school, was my younger brother's only Super Nintendo game, and that's Yoshi's Island. And this is his copy of it from back when we bought it, and I love Yoshi's Island. It is a very advanced game for the system that it is running on. My favorite part about Yoshi's Island is the backgrounds and the attention to detail with the artwork and that type of stuff. There's a level where you can see this flock of seagulls flying behind you in the background, and there's like the ocean, and you can see these little tiny islands off in the distance. I just love that kind of stuff. I think it's great. So after around that time, you know, now I'm kind of getting into where like I was in high school and a lot of people weren't into the Super Nintendo anymore. I always loved the Super Nintendo, but my original Super Nintendo from when I was a kid got put outside, we'll say, by somebody, and it got rained on and it was ruined. So I didn't have a Super Nintendo for probably about, I'm gonna say like, I didn't have a Super Nintendo for probably about 4 years, from I think the end of 8th grade to like the end of 11th grade. That's 3 years. So I didn't have a Super Nintendo for like 3 years, from the end of 8th grade to like the end of 11th grade. And then I went and I bought a used Super Nintendo. I never lost my games, I went and I bought a used Super Nintendo in probably 2006, I'm going to say. And around that time, I had friends that didn't want their Super Nintendo games anymore, or they just had them laying around and they didn't have the console anymore. So I ended up getting a lot of Super Nintendo games for free as gifts and just stuff that people just gave me. You know what I mean? And that's happened to me a lot over the years, and I'm grateful for everything everyone gives me. I am. So now I'm going to go through some of those games. Well, actually, now I'm going to go through all of them. Oh, there is one other game from when I was a kid that I didn't talk about, and it's Demon's Crest. I had Demon's Crest. I got it for my birthday. I'm not putting it in this video. I might in a later video, but I actually have video footage of myself receiving a sealed copy of Demon's Crest for my birthday. And the reason I don't have it today is because I don't like it. I've never liked Demon's Crest. I like the music. I like certain things about it, but it's overall a very stiff feeling game. And stiffness is like probably one of my number one pet peeves. So here is my Super Nintendo. And this is the Super Nintendo system that I bought later on, probably in about 2006, like I said. This is that actual system. So I've had this one for about 15 years now. And it works great. I've had other ones over the years that have come and gone, but I've always kept this one. So at that time when I bought my new Super Nintendo, my older brother wanted me to get a couple of games. So I actually in like 2006 bought some used games for Super Nintendo. And the first one is, that's right, A Link to the Past. I had never played A Link to the Past until probably like 2006 when I was like 18 years old. So, it's a great game. I've always liked Ocarina of Time better, but I do like A Link to the Past a lot. The next one is F-Zero, and I absolutely love F-Zero. F-Zero is one of my favorite Nintendo series. At the time that I bought this one, I had already previously played the GameCube one, so I knew what F-Zero was. I just didn't know that there was a Super Nintendo one. I had no idea. There were so many Super Nintendo games that I never had any idea about when I was a kid, because like I said, I was a little bit late. So a lot of the hype for that stuff had already kind of gone away, and I just didn't hear about a lot of it. Like Joe and Mac. I never knew about Joe and Mac, or Legend of the Mystical Ninja, or a lot of that cool stuff until way later on. Or even like Earthbound. I never heard of Earthbound until NES was in Smash Bros. And once you got Smash Bros. Melee, you could see somewhere that, oh, NES is from a game called Earthbound. But I never saw a copy of Earthbound until much later. Until at least 2007. Anyways, these are the games that I got after I was out of high school. And this is like right around 2006 when I first started getting back into the Super Nintendo, when I bought a new Super Nintendo. And so I got all of these ones I got for free. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Super Turrican. And Super Turrican, if you've never played it, it is... I struggle to compare it to Contra because it's really not like Contra. It's way more of an open platformer. Like the levels have really high vertical limits, and there's a lot of walking around and exploring to do in Super Turrican as opposed to Contra. And also, you ain't shooting up in Super Turrican. I mean, it's a cool game, but it's got some serious issues in the later levels. It's really good, but the later levels get freaking crazy. I'm not even going to say anything. Outlander, this game's pretty blasé, but this copy of it specifically comes from a Blockbuster that used to be near me, which has been closed for about 10 years. This is a game that I actually played before I got it when I was a kid, and that's Desert Strike. And I played this at somebody's house when I was a lot younger, and I liked it. I thought it was cool, and then I ended up getting it for free later on. Donkey Kong Country. So yeah, like I said, I never had Donkey Kong Country. Or, not like I said, but yeah, I never had Donkey Kong Country until I was like 18 years old. And I had played it before. I had friends that owned it, and I love Donkey Kong Country. I like Donkey Kong Country 1 the best, I think 2 is good, but 2 gets a little bit cheap sometimes with the kills. A little bit cheaper, I should say. They're both developed by Rare, so Williams Arcade Greatest Hits, and a lot of people kind of overlook this game, I think, because it's just Super Nintendo ports of old arcade games. So I think it's rightfully overlooked, actually, but Robotron 2084 and Sinistar are both very interesting games, and I think Robotron is really fun on Super Nintendo. Sinistar is really fun too, but you actually have to understand how to play it. Okay, now Simcity. Simcity, I think, is an excellent game for the SimCity. SimCity is an awesome game on the Super Nintendo, but the best part about it is the music. I think the composer's name is Soyo Oka. She did an excellent job with the music in SimCity for Super Nintendo. It is a wonderful game. Or it's a wonderful soundtrack, not a wonderful game. It's a boring game for Super Nintendo, but the music makes the whole thing worth it. You want to put it, you know what I like to do with SimCity? I like to just put it on and get my city so that it's stable and it can just float on its own for a little while, and then I like to just leave it on in the background and let the music play. Because that's really, it's a slow game anyways. You know, you're not really like, it's not like Cities Skylines where you take an action and there are immediate results. SimCity on Super Nintendo takes a long time to move through things. Top Gear. Top Gear is actually a cool game. I didn't play it for a long time because I didn't think it was very interesting, but having played it a few times over the last couple of years, I think it's actually kind of cool. Not as good as Outrun. Super Mario RPG, I received from a friend as a gift in probably 2006, and that's my favorite Super Nintendo game. If you've ever heard, I've said it on this channel before. Super Mario RPG is the one for me. I don't really have much else to say about it. If you have any questions, you can ask me about it. But yeah, it's a really great game. And then the last one is Super R-Type, and this is one that I've beat before as well. But it's a very tough game, and it's cheap too, because when you get killed, there's no freaking checkpoints. You're going back to the beginning of the level, the very beginning of the level. No power-ups. Screw you, pretty much, is what Super R-Type is all about. The last thing I want to mention is that I also had Wizardry 4, which is a really awful game. I mean, I guess it's just a hardcore RPG on the Super Nintendo, but without the manual, it's worthless. You know, there's no way that you're ever going to understand that game starting off from scratch. So, Wizardry 4, I don't have my copy of it anymore. I don't know what the hell happened to it, but it's gone. So yeah, that's my video about what Super Nintendo games did I have as a kid, and you know, what were my, you know, what was kind of my experience, or what was my Super Nintendo collection back in the day. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'd like to thank a lot of people in the community for supporting me recently and being really nice to me and coming to my stream and saying hi and shouting my channel out. I think that's really cool. So thank you very much, guys. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.